Everyone who entered this abandoned town was captured, murdered, and turned into wax statues alive. The film is set in 1974. A mother is seen heating wax to make a human-faced mask. Nearby, a child is calmly eating even though his food is scattered everywhere. Then, the father arrives, bringing a second child who cannot sit still and constantly rebels, to the point that the father has to tie the child to a chair and tape both his legs and hands. Several years later, two women named Carly and Paige are seen chatting at a cafe.
Replace and try back up for $3,000.
It's just an internship.
At InStyle magazine.
Shortly after, a man named Wade, who is Carly's boyfriend, arrives. Paige, not wanting to interrupt the couple, approaches her boyfriend Blake, who is sitting inside a car. Carly's twin brother Nick then arrives with his friend Dalton, who always carries a camera wherever he goes. Nick sits across from Carly, and it is clear that he dislikes Carly's boyfriend, Wade. They all gather at the cafe because they are planning to go watch a football game together.
Here. You know it ain't like that. Hey, yo, wait go.
So what's up?
During the trip, the main road they are supposed to take is unexpectedly closed, forcing them to take an alternative route by following the GPS. Since the journey is still quite long and it is already late at night, they decide to look for a place to rest and continue their trip the next morning. They enter a town called House of Wax and arrive at an empty field on the outskirts of town where they can rest overnight, then begin setting up their tents.
Paige, come with me. We'll grab this stuff.
Aside from disliking Wade, Nick's relationship with Carly is also strained due to Nick's troubled past and his habit of constantly causing problems.
Wait. Help Dalton. Okay. And you're blaming that on me?
You could have covered for me, huh?
After finishing setting up the tents, they smell a strong stench of rotting carcasses coming from the forest, carried by the wind. However, they choose to ignore it and continue the night by partying and drinking alcohol.
Look how good you look!
Get that rush, huh? Why'd you steal that car anyway? I mean, you don't need to do that.
Suddenly, they are startled by the arrival of a strange car that shines its headlights toward them. Annoyed, Nick throws a bottle at the car, shattering one of its headlights, and the figure inside the car simply drives away, leaving them behind.
Yo, man, you need something? Turn your lights off.
Maybe we're on his property.
No, we didn't pass a gate.
Morning arrives, and because they oversleep, they hurriedly pack their belongings and prepare to continue their journey. However, something strange happens when Dalton's camera goes missing and Wade's car fan belt suddenly snaps, even though Wade clearly remembers having just replaced it with a new one.
Dude, you see my camera anywhere? Nah, man.
Are you serious? It was brand new.
Meanwhile, elsewhere, Paige and Carly go into the forest to relieve themselves. Suddenly, they smell the stench of animal carcasses coming from deeper in the woods, and out of curiosity, they decide to investigate.
I think it's coming from over there.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I hate you.
Come on, it'll be I'm fine. gonna throw up.
Unfortunately, Carly slips and falls into a ravine filled with animal carcasses. Terrified and panicked, Carly screams hysterically and is quickly helped by Wade, who rushes to where she fell. Moments later, a car arrives driven by a mysterious man named Lester, who is carrying a dead deer. He throws it onto the pile of carcasses where Carly had fallen. Wade then asks Lester if there's a nearby town because he needs to buy a replacement fan belt for his car. Lester explains that there is a town called Ambrose about 15 miles away and kindly offers to take them there. Wade decides to go to Ambrose with Carly so he can fix his car, while Blake and the others are told to continue their journey to attend the football game that will start in a few hours. Accompanied by Lester, Wade and Carly finally arrive in the town of Ambrose.
Used to be a pretty nice town. Used to anything if you're around it long enough. Try and do something nice for someone.
They then arrive at a garage in the town, but it appears empty with no one around. Shortly after, Carly receives a phone call from Paige, who says that they are all heading back to Carly's location and have decided not to watch the football game after all because the road leading there is heavily congested. Meanwhile, Wade and Carly go to a church in the town where they see that a funeral procession is currently taking place. While standing outside the church, they meet a man who introduces himself as Bo, the owner of the garage that Wade and Carly visited earlier. Wade explains that he wants to buy a fan belt for his car, which has snapped. Bo tells him that he will help after the funeral service at the church is finished.
You know, something very special to me passed, and I didn't mean it to.
We need a fan belt.
Elsewhere, a man is shown crafting a wax statue inside a room in the town, carefully shaping it in great detail until it looks exactly like a human body. Meanwhile, Wade and Carly, feeling bored, decide to walk around the town while waiting for the funeral to end. They enter a building called House of Wax, which looks like an art gallery entirely made of wax. Once inside, they see numerous wax statues that closely resemble human bodies. Carly concludes that all the statues were created by an artist named Vincent, as she notices that every statue is labeled with the name Vincent.
Since when is a wax sculptor a celebrity?
Anyone in here? I don't recognize this guy.
Moments later, as Carly looks at a glass window, she is startled by the sight of someone peeking at her from outside the building. Wade checks outside but finds no one there. Suddenly, Carly is frightened by the sight of a female wax statue, causing her to panic and run outside to look for Wade.
Oh, hey, damn!
Meanwhile, elsewhere, Blake, Nick, Dalton, and Paige have already arrived in the town of Ambrose and pull over briefly to relieve themselves. There, Blake tells Nick and Dalton to go look for Carly and Wade using his car because Blake wants to spend some private time with his girlfriend Paige. Back to Wade and Carly, as Bo still has not returned, Wade decides to enter the garage and look for a fan belt for his car. However, after searching for a while, Wade cannot find a fan belt that fits his vehicle. Not long after, Bo arrives and tells them that the correct fan belt for Wade's car is at his house. He then invites both of them to go to his house to get the right size fan belt. On the way there, Bo tells Wade and Carly about the origins of the town and the House of Wax gallery they visited earlier. Bo explains that the building was created by a family named Vincent Sinclair, where Vincent was a doctor and his wife, Trudy Sinclair, was an artist. However, the family had a dark past, as Vincent's wife suffered from an incurable brain tumor, which eventually drove Vincent to end his own life. After the incident, their 2 depressed children were sent to an orphanage in another town. They eventually arrive at Bo's house, where Carly is asked to wait inside the car while Wade goes into the house because he needs to use the bathroom.
Hey, you said you need to use the facilities, right? The bathroom is right down the hall.
Inside, Wade becomes curious and begins exploring every corner of Bo's house, noticing several strange objects. He also discovers an unusual room that resembles an operating room, complete with medical equipment. Growing impatient as Wade does not come back out, Carly decides to step out of the car. She is shocked to discover that the car's headlight is broken, similar to the car that Nick had thrown a bottle at earlier. Sensing that something is wrong, Carly honks the car horn, hoping Wade will come out immediately. Hearing the horn, Wade is startled when the house lights suddenly go out and someone attacks his legs and chest. It turns out that Wade is assaulted by a psychopath who has been watching them all along. Growing increasingly anxious, Carly tries to call Paige to warn her, but Paige does not answer the call because she is busy making love with her boyfriend. Moments later, Bo comes out of the house alone. Carly realizes that Bo is not a good person and quickly gets back into the car, locking herself inside. Sure enough, Bo becomes enraged and tries to harm Carly by smashing the car window.
Open the damn door!
When the tires skid and the car can no longer be driven, Carly takes her only chance to escape by running away from Bo, even though she has to leave her phone behind inside the car. Elsewhere, Wade, who is already dying, is dragged by the psychopath who attacked him earlier into a basement inside Bo's house. Wade is then tied to a chair and sprayed with extremely hot liquid wax while still alive. It becomes clear that Wade is being turned into a wax statue by the psychopath as part of his collection. Meanwhile, Carly, who manages to escape from Bo, runs toward the center of town and notices that all the town lights are turned on. She then runs toward the church, believing she hears people inside. However, once inside the church, Carly realizes that everyone there is not human, but wax statues. In fact, inside those wax figures are real human bodies covered in wax. After discovering this horrifying truth, Carly quickly hides when she hears Bo's footsteps approaching the church. Unfortunately, Bo discovers her hiding place and successfully captures Carly.
These people just have no respect.
While being held by Bo, Carly briefly sees someone peeking at her through a window. She screams for help, but the person remains silent and refuses to help her. Bo then takes Carly to his garage and ties her to a chair in the basement of the garage.
Let me go!
Shortly after, Nick and Dalton arrive in the town and head to the garage where Carly is being held, unaware that she is imprisoned in the basement below. They split up to search for Carly and Wade around the town. After sealing Carly's mouth shut with glue, Bo goes to meet Nick. Nick asks Bo if he has seen a man and a woman who came to town looking for a fan belt. Bo's suspicious behavior makes Nick feel that Bo is hiding something inside the garage. Meanwhile, Carly manages to free one of her hands and tries to signal Nick from the basement by sticking her finger out through a small gap. Realizing this, Bo cuts off Carly's finger. Bo then invites Nick to go to his house to look for clues about where Nick's sister and her boyfriend might be. Unbeknownst to Nick, Bo has already prepared a weapon to stab him from behind. In the basement, Carly finally manages to free her mouth from the glue and screams Nick's name. Bo immediately attacks Nick, but Nick avoids the strike and fights back, overpowering Bo. After successfully subduing him, Nick rushes back to the garage to look for his sister. He enters the basement and frees Carly, who is tied to the chair.
This place is a freak show.
Elsewhere, Dalton, who is confused and still searching for Wade and Carly, enters the House of Wax gallery. While searching inside, Dalton is shocked to see Wade sitting in front of a piano. He becomes confused as to why Wade is there. When Dalton touches Wade's cheek, he is horrified to find that Wade's face feels like wax and begins to peel away. Unbeknownst to Dalton, a psychopath is watching him from a distance. Through his eye movements, Wade tries to warn Dalton that a psychopath is inside the gallery. However, unable to do anything, Wade can only cry while looking at Dalton. Moments later, Dalton is startled when the psychopath suddenly appears and attacks him. Dalton runs away, but tragically falls into a basement and is killed by the psychopath. Meanwhile, after escaping, Carly takes Nick to a nearby house to look for help. Before being captured by Bo, Carly had seen someone peeking through a window, but when they check the house, they are shocked to discover that the person Carly saw is also a wax human. Realizing this, they conclude that everyone in the town has been turned into wax statues by the psychopath. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, Blake and Paige, who are about to make love, stop when the music they are playing suddenly cuts off. Blake looks at Paige's phone and notices several missed voice calls from Carly. However, while listening to Carly's voice messages, Blake is suddenly attacked by the psychopath and is killed. Paige, who is waiting inside the tent, is also attacked by the psychopath, but she manages to escape and runs into a warehouse. Inside the warehouse, she finds numerous items that turn out to be belongings of victims who were killed by the psychopath and turned into wax. Moments later, Paige is found by the psychopath and brutally killed with a spear that pierces straight through her head, killing her instantly. The psychopath then approaches Paige's body and reveals that the camera he has been carrying all along is Dalton's missing camera, confirming that it was stolen earlier by him. Back to Nick and Carly, they take a bow and arrows from a statue inside a shop to defend themselves against the psychopath. Suddenly, Bo appears and starts shooting at them with a shotgun. They run to avoid the shots and hide inside a movie theater. Carly pretends to be a wax statue among the seated figures, but Bo realizes it and immediately fires at her with the shotgun. However, Carly manages to dodge the shot and screams for her brother, who is already prepared to shoot Bo with an arrow. Nick fires back, and the arrow strikes Beau's left shoulder. The two of them then run out of the theater. Beau gets back up and chases Nick and Carly as they flee. Unbeknownst to Beau, Nick has already prepared another arrow and shoots him again as Beau opens the theater door.
Give me this.
Empty shell.
Nick and Carly then run to Beau's house to look for Carly's phone that was left inside Beau's car. After searching for the phone and failing to find it, they decide to enter Beau's house.
Wade went in there and never came out.
Inside, they discover the truth about Beau's past, learning that he has a twin brother. It is revealed that Beau's twin was born conjoined with him, resulting in a severe facial deformity after they were separated. It turns out there are not one, but two psychopaths, and the one who killed Wade, Paige, and Blake is Beau's twin, who worked together with Beau to murder people and turn them into wax statues. After learning this, Beau suddenly arrives at the house wounded from being shot by Nick, followed shortly by his twin, who appears deeply concerned about Beau's condition.
I said don't. Yeah. Hey.
Realizing the danger they are in, Nick urges Carly to leave the house immediately. They find a passage leading to the basement, which turns out to be a very dark corridor. While trying to find a light switch, they accidentally turn on the switch for the entire town's lights, alerting Beau. After walking through the corridor for a long time, Nick and Carly reach a room where the psychopath usually creates wax statues from human bodies. There, they see Dalton's corpse, which has been turned into a wax figure. Not long after, the masked wax psychopath appears. Nick fights him and spills a pan filled with hot, molten wax to block the psychopath's path. After successfully stopping him with the burning wax, Nick and Carly escape through another corridor whose walls are lined with molded human faces. Once they get out, they realize that the path has led them back into the House of Wax gallery. Inside the gallery, they are confronted by Beau, who has been waiting for them. Nick fights Beau again, and Carly strikes Beau with a wooden object, knocking him down and killing him.
You're finished.
Shortly after, the masked wax psychopath enters the gallery. Enraged by Beau's death, he chases Carly and attempts to kill her. As the gallery, which is entirely made of wax, begins to melt from the growing fire, Carly hides inside one of the gallery rooms. However, because everything is made of wax, the psychopath easily breaks through and finds her. Moments later, Nick arrives and pushes the psychopath away from Carly. When Nick manages to remove the psychopath's mask, Carly stabs him, killing him. As the masked psychopath collapses and the entire building continues to melt, Nick and Carly desperately search for a way out before they are consumed by the flames.
Get up!
Fortunately, they find an exit and escape the fire alive. From outside, they see the gallery completely burned down, with Beau and the masked psychopath still inside. The next morning, police and paramedics arrive at the wax town after noticing thick black smoke from the burning gallery. They discover that more than 70 victims have been found. A police officer explains to Nick and Carly that the town had been abandoned for 10 years after the local sugar factory shut down, and its location had even been removed from maps, which is why the authorities only discovered it after seeing the smoke from the fire. Nick and Carly are then taken away by paramedics for further treatment. Later, the police receive information revealing that the Sinclair family did not have only 2 sons, but 3, and the third son is Lester, the only other person living in the area. It is revealed that Lester deliberately lured Carly and her friends into going to Ambrose. In the final scene, Carly briefly sees Lester sitting calmly in his car, casually waving his hand, implying that the terror of House of Wax is not truly over and the story comes to an end.